We moved into a virtual world, and suddenly in-person live events came to a screeching halt. And you know what became the big news? Remote learning, e-learning, virtual training, all of that good stuff. So now you're wondering, is e-learning development or instructional design the right career for you? Well, I'm here to give you the questions and some feedback on whether or not you think this is the right field for you. So Forbes actually said back in, I think it was 2017, that e-learning was going to be a $350 billion or $325 billion dollar industry. This was before the pandemic, obviously. So I can only imagine what the case is for it now. But e-learning was an industry that was huge. Instructional design is becoming huge. And this pandemic and going remote only further amplified that. So it seems like it's a hot topic industry, but a lot of people aren't sure if it's right for them. So here are my questions for you. First, are you comfortable with technology? And I know that this one's a difficult one because if you watch any of my other videos or you hear anything that I say, I always tell people you don't have to learn or know how to do e-learning to be an instructional designer. And I know it's difficult because a lot of job descriptions, a lot of, clients want the unicorn. They want someone that knows how to do a needs analysis, curriculum development, design, and do the e-learning development, and then, launch it all and maybe do LMS administration. It's a lot. And not everyone, well, no one really, is excellent at every single thing. So while I say, are you comfortable with technology? I just mean, are you comfortable talking about it? Do you know enough about it? Even if you don't know how to specifically, create and interact in e-learn, you should be able to be comfortable to have a conversation of the pros and the cons of the different tools and which is the best solution for the learning plan and for the issue or the problem that your client is trying to solve. Tech is huge in IT, so you definitely want to make sure that you're aware of what the trends are, what's coming up, what is out there, what are people talking about, and you just need to be comfortable having those conversations. So if you're struggling with Microsoft Word, then this might not be the industry for you. How are your analytical and writing skills? These two things are probably the biggest skills you're going to need in order to get into the L&D or instructional design space. You are going to need to analyze your client's organization, their learners, their current materials, their initiatives. If this is a situation where they actually need training, or is there something else that they maybe need that would be a better solution for this problem? That takes analysis, and a lot of times that is what you're doing. You're analyzing something in some way. So you're going to want to make sure that your analytical skills are up to par. And writing. You will be writing all the time. Whether you're writing an instructor guide, you are writing best practices, you're writing a roadmap, you're writing a storyboard, you want to make sure that you're able to convey a message in as succinct and clearly as possible. You need to be sure that what you're teaching your students is something that is clear, easily understood, easily, able to be retained. The next thing, are you creative? You are going to have to think outside of the box, and creativity doesn't just take form of the colors that you're using for a e-learning module or a job aid, or how you present the PowerPoint, the deck that you're going to be using for an in-person training. It is all about, are you able to think outside of the box, consider different solutions that are the best option for that client or for that problem. A lot of clients are going to come to you and say, I want a training, I want an e-learning on this. And then when you actually dive in to what the client needs, or what the client's, true issue is, or what is the best solution for their organization, sometimes it's not going to be training. So you're going to have to be creative in how you're going to approach that client and how you're going to talk to them about which is the best option for them and how it may be better than a traditional e-learning or whatever they think is the best solution for their problem. I think that the question of being creative is sometimes the most difficult and sometimes the scariest for instructional designers, because they will always take creativity and think of it in a traditional sense of, design and development and, creating stories and games and all of that is good. And you do need that, but it's not the only, don't let that be a deterrent for jumping into the field. You obviously do want to be creative, but it's really more about how are you creative about your solution and your problem solving, and you're working with clients. That's important. How are you under pressure? That's a big one. In instructional design, we are often under pressure. More often than not, a lot of clients look at L&D or look at instructional design as kind of like that last part in a training initiative. So let's say you're launching a new software program for your clients, launching a new software program for an organization. Training is typically the last thing that they think about when they're launching. And then that's the biggest rush. And honestly, it's critical for adoption. It is critical for ease of use. And it's a big part of the whole program, but it's the one that people take the least amount of time to think about. And usually at the end, they've had so many setbacks in other areas that they're going to rush you because they still need to meet their deadline to come out. So you are going to be under pressure. You may feel pressure because you've taken on too much work. You may feel too much pressure because you've taken on a job and you may have hit a wall, or you're just not sure how to provide a solution or meet the best solution for that organization. That happens. It happens to all of us. And it's just a matter of how we manage and how we cope with that stress and that pressure. So you're going to want to make sure that you're someone that can handle working under pressure. Maybe even someone that thrives from working under pressure. Not that I recommend, leaving things to the last minute and always working under pressure, but let the pressure come from external sources, not internal. And you'll have ways to manage your stress. So, for me, I need to turn off my computer. I will typically take on work or take on projects or just let life build up and build up and build up. And then finally it's like, done. I need a break. I need to stop. And I know that's something that I need to work on because I need to better pace myself. And so I don't have those moments of like just shutting down and not having productivity. That's a fault of mine. I know that. And so again, I will take time off. I will take, the weekends off, which has been really nice in the summer. Massages are my thing. I actually have one scheduled today. Very excited about. And just taking that time for self-care. Because if I don't feel really great for myself, I'm not going to be able to perform my best for my clients. So like working out is really important. Eating healthy relatively is really important. Or sometimes when I'm truly under pressure and it's a lot, having a glass of wine at the end of the night is just something that I need to relax and then get myself going for the next day. So whatever it is that you need to navigate being under pressure, make sure you have those in your back pocket because you'll need them from time to time. Are you okay not seeing the results of your efforts? So a lot of times in instructional design and e-learning development or learning and development, you're not going to see the results of your efforts, especially if you're someone like me where I'll come into a client's project just to work on that one project and then I'm out until they need me for something else. So I don't actually get to see that light bulb unless I'm in the classroom, or I don't get to see the students actually taking what they've learned and apply it like I may be able to do if I actually am something that's more of an internal resource. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be understanding that what you give your client at the end of the day or at the end of your project is your best work, and it's the best solution for that client, and just let it go and let it be what it's going to be for that client, and that you always have the opportunity to check in on them later and shoot them an email and just see how everything's going. But just understand that you're never going to see that whole picture unless it's a client in which you have more of a longevity type of relationship or a continuing relationship where you could actually see them applying what they've learned. When you kind of pop in, you offer your expertise and you offer your product or your service, and then when you step back, you may not be able to see the fruits of all of your labor. That doesn't make it any less rewarding. It doesn't make it any less fun, and it doesn't make it any less meaningful. It's just an understanding that you may not always see that. And some people need to see that, and they need to see how it applies for them. Are you going to be able to prioritize professional development? In a lot of fields, it's really important to continue to be on your toes and learning, but I find it's critical for learning and development. There are things that we learn, even if you went and got your master's, that change over time. It feels like nothing stays the same in instructional design, but that's because people are evolving. The way we learn is evolving. Technology is evolving. So really making sure that you have some sort of time to prioritize professional development is really, really important. And if you don't have that time, it's a tough industry to be in, because at one point you will almost become obsolete or just not up with the times. And that's going to cost you clients. It's going to cost you projects. It's going to cost you results with the clients that you do have and the projects that you are working on. So whatever professional development that you need or that works best with you in your schedule, I would definitely suggest understanding how to prioritize it or how to include it in your day. So for me, when I go walking, I'd say probably Monday through Wednesday, Thursday, I have a podcast on, and it's, maybe it's Nilo Spooner's I'm New Here, or it's instructional designers drinking coffee. It's something that's professional development that I'm listening to, or it's a book on Audible, or something like that. And I take a few minutes every single day to pop into different websites or industry sites or Forbes or Business Insider, or just a couple of different websites that I've deemed that day that I really want to pop into and read and keep up with. I make that a priority for my day. It's kind of how I have to start my day, so that I can make sure that I'm keeping up with, the times and what my clients want and what the trends they're seeing across industries. Another thing that I prioritize is I try to make it to one conference every year. That is a new goal. And I've kind of been blessed during the pandemic that I've been able to do a couple because they've been virtual, and I've seen a lot more free conferences. I know eLearning Brothers has a free conference in September that I'll leave the link for down below. So trying to prioritize that for me is really important. I also find that I can kind of get more bang for my buck at a conference, and they come at different price points. So you're able to really understand or decide which is the best conference for you, depending on, your availability, the days, and just the cost. Because some of them, especially when they're in person, can be quite expensive, and that's a lot. If you can find yourself going to some virtual conferences, that's right from the comfort of your own home, and there are some amazing ones. The Learning Guild does online conferences all the time, and they even have them on replay for later viewing if you're a member, and I honestly think that that's a huge advantage for the Learning Guild. So leave a comment down below if you're a member of the Learning Guild, or if there's another conference that you attend, or if you've attended any of the Learning Guild conferences. I'd love to hear your feedback on them, and if there's any conferences I should be on the lookout for. Always looking for a new one. How are you at building relationships? So this is a skill that a lot of people struggle with, and they don't think about how important consulting truly is to instructional design and whether or not they like it. It is hard to work with subject matter experts and project sponsors and navigate politics at your clients' organizations, or just the politics of working with a client and getting approval for things and making sure that they understand that you're the expert in instructional design and whatnot. It's hard. It is not easy, and it's not for everyone, but it's a big part of instructional design. Working with SMEs, it's critical to find a way to establish that relationship, to break down the barriers, break down walls so that they're, not holding up your review as much, or they answer your emails or they answer your phone calls for clarification. You will have to, once you work with the SME, that initial knowledge transfer, that's not the only time you're going to need to connect with them. You're going to need to connect with them again. And if you can break them down a little bit and get them to form a bond and form a relationship with you, it makes working together so much easier. It makes it enjoyable for both of you. It makes that knowledge transfer that can be boring. I mean, I find it to be super fun, but it makes it more interesting and it makes the whole project as a whole enjoyable. And I just love getting to know new people and learning about them and their life and, their likes and their jobs and their roles. I mean, that's why I do what I do. I love working in instructional design and being able to work in so many different industries or with so many different clients, because it's always something new and something fun. So definitely it's something I would recommend with SMEs is, forging that relationship and identifying how are your relationship building skills, and is it something that may need some work. If you want to learn more about how to work with SMEs and build relationship, make sure you give a thumbs up to this video, okay? Are you ready to take the next step in instructional design? Do you want my 6-step process to break into freelance? Then click the link in the description box for my freelance learning and development blueprint. And then make sure you click the video here to take the next steps towards getting into the L&D game. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've had a wonderful time giving you my tips and my questions to consider if idea is right for you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.